G'day, listeners. This episode is proudly brought to you by our sponsors, supshq.com.au. Use BWB15 at checkout to receive 15% off and direct shipping. G'day, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Bros with Brains. I have just dribbled on myself.
If you're wondering, Ben spits, he doesn't swallow. Just in case you're wondering, that we have answered that question. I think that was one of the questions that we got today. Does Ben spit or swallow?
Unless
spits.
You pay well. Who knows what I'll do for an extra 20?
$20 is $20.
The first 20 is just for my convenience. The second is just a favor.
Yeah, that's just fun.
Yes. Yeah, but welcome back to another episode. As usual, joined by my fellow bearded co-host, Aaron Scafafi.
Yeah, we saw a photo of you earlier in the week with a beard. Please don't ever bring it up.
Yeah. I've already come to the conclusion. Like, it just, I wanted to,
there's,
like, in my head, I'm
no
like,
justification. Don't ever do it again.
In my head, I was like, grow a Ragnar beard, hair back, grow a Ragnar beard, get it fucking straightened out. It just went proper Amish.
Yeah,
like,
there's a difference between a Viking beard and pubic hair on your face.
That's legit what it was. and I fully come to terms with that. Someone messaged me, they're like, you're the first person to look younger with a full facial hair.
But yeah. None of that ever again, please.
That's fair. At this point, I just start to realize things, and one of them is don't bring back the mustache and don't bring back facial hair.
Yeah, we should get that photo and put it up on the Instagram page after this releases, so that we can be like, just in case people need to know, like, we'll just post it as a post. It's just a post and just be like, refer to episode to understand this picture. Just make this the snippet for the week, and then get Dave to edit in. As soon as it comes in.
As soon as it comes in, a photo of me. Look, it was a trial. It was a trial and error. You know, I was like, I wonder if I could do this. I think it's just because I never ever tried to stain and like straighten it.
Yeah,
and so it just didn't grow out the way that I pictured everyone else's does.
Yeah, don't do it. I've never actually straightened, like, a proper straighten.
Hey, to be fair, fuck you. Me and Nelly were talking about it. We saw the photo of you coaching her, like, with the hat
on backwards.
Yeah, I went through that backwards. I said to him, like, you look like Turtle from Entourage.
Yeah, except I was skinnier.
Chin strap.
Yeah, except my face was just thinner than Turtle.
Yeah,
I know.
I was like, you
do realize he ended up almost as good as ever. Like he was like second best outcome in the entire series, right?
Banging like
I'm not mad.
That sounds a bad thing. I'm just saying, you look like Turtle.
I'll take it.
Okay,
it's like done. Just wears like his ghost clothing
anyway,
all the time. That's me, bro.
On my shitty facial hair structure. I mean, the good news was I saw that video and I was like, fuck, I've progressed since then.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's always a positive, right? At least you know what we're doing is working.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that was peak COVID, I think it was. And it was like, what can we actually do? Let's do something.
And in COVID, I think a lot of us did a lot of weird shit we don't want to talk about.
Yeah. That was like, let's add this fucking band retractor cable pull through thing here and see what happens.
Yeah. I wasn't even going about exercises, bro. I was just talking about it in general.
Oh yeah, just weird shit. Yeah. I talk to people. That was weird enough for me.
That's literally when I started getting into red wine. I'm like, I have nothing else to do, so I'm going to learn about red wine. I'm going to learn about it. I was curious about it. Like, I need to know more about red wine. And then it's like, well, here we go. What better time to learn and practice red wine? Like, done.
I tried to use a band for like a straight leg, sit on the floor, put it over your feet to try and do like face pulls and like seated rows. Because there was no fixed point out on the balcony to actually do like a row mechanic.
Yeah.
So like sat down. Anyway, I accidentally leaned back and then pointed my toes towards my face as I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And it didn't stay locked in. So at full tension, it's come off my feet into my face and just swelled my eye shut. It was fucking hilarious.
Well, yeah, I could imagine.
The joys of trying to optimize training. At a point in time where there was fuck all training.
Yeah, that was. I mean, look, I was very lucky. You saw my little setup.
Yeah.
I went nuts. First thing I did was just buy a whole stack of equipment. Just throw it in my garage. I had great training sessions actually. To be honest, I reckon I had almost better training in fucking COVID than I did fucking outside of COVID. So honestly, garage training at a point where it was like, not when it was winter. Winter was shit. Mm-hmm. But when it was that sort of springish time where the weather was, nice, I could have the garage door open, fresh air come in. Great sessions. And then when I went to one gym, And I was training with Chris for
great
great sessions.
session. Yeah.
And now it's just finally starting to come back. Like the sessions are getting real juicy. Like as you saw yesterday with my quads, like blown up like a motherfucker.
See, mine was fucking opposite. I was like,
Was it even quad day?
Hey,
it wasn't even fucking quad day. I was training delts. I'm kidding.
The scat bikini fucking story.
Yeah, no, I mean,
train delts. Here's my booty and glutes.
It was a hamstring dominant day, but I can feel my hamstrings now. I'll tell you that much. But 2 exercises, 2 sets of quads, and 4 sets of quads total, and that was it. Blew them up like a motherfucker.
Turns out when you train properly, that can happen.
Yeah, who would have thought?
Yeah, that was mine. My fucking balcony was like, I was trying to get in the mood to train, and I'd like look in the living room and like Dalton Isabel would be like eating pizza or fucking eating dinner or just like chilling out watching TV. And I'm like, how do you get psyched up when this is like just lingering in the background?
Yeah.
That's not ideal. Fair. And then it was like 5 degrees in Brisbane at the time on the balcony.
Yeah. Like just clothes
fucking
on.
Sick.
Fucking train.
How cool.
You got to do what you got to do.
This is correct. This is what we do.
So exciting times. I won the long drive competition in our little golf tournament on the weekend. That we don't worry about the score. We just worry. That I won the long drive competition.
You're like the guys like, I got man of the match for the losing team.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what it was. Played the front nine, played the worst front nine I've played in probably 20 fucking rounds. Just, I don't know what I was doing. I was even playing with my mate and we're just like, yeah, nah, this isn't it. So I'm like, all right, back nine, I'll play properly. I only played 2 over on the back, which was, much, much better because it wasn't that hard of a course. But long drive competition, 297 meters. We're good. Life's good. And it wasn't even a driver that's like, I've outgrown my driver. So I bought one this morning. Just saying.
What's the 4-month wait time like on this one?
No. It's already here. It's all done. So it's literally just going to be put together. So hopefully I'm picking it up before Sunday's around. So if not, it would be early next week, which is sick. So people are like, what did you do today? I'm like, I literally just played golf. It was great. Good fucking life.
Online coach life. All you got to do is just drink some coconut water and sit by a pool.
Pretty much. I mean, I'll be doing that when I go to Bali.
When's Bali?
Start of May. Cheap flights.
Nice.
I can't wait. It's going to be fun. But anyway, what's going on? What are we talking about today? Apparently females and drugs.
Yeah, we'll get to females and drugs. What's going on though is the app is fully up and running. It's operational. Yes. Been playing around with it. It's fucking fun. It's like, everything has its pros and cons. Its program operational side is very simplistic, as in you will write your data and you will kind of have to write like 4 by 10 or
so you write your sets and reps and all that.
You have to write your sets and reps yourself, and then final, like, you can't RPE per exercise, which is the only thing I'm like, I'd love to have that as like an RER RPE, but you can RPE the session. So it does let you, like, after you conclude your workout, say ticket's done, you can conclude your session. It's probably the only like tweaks that I'm a little bit more curious with. But the actual systemized like side to it is fucking unreal. Like the stuff that I've been able to automate and systemize and process, like I can completely schedule, trigger, and automate a client's onboarding process of like welcome to week 1, welcome to changing your life, blah, blah, blah. We're going to kick some ass. Comes through, like, you got options to strategize, systemize, and automate lessons. So educational content, articles, you can put in action requirements. So like if you're trying to build a client's habit list or like daily tasks, your program, obviously, or your workout. And then it can automate things like, what else is there? There's something else in there. Education. Messages. So like,
you can communicate
week 10 of your program, you're halfway through for like coming out of prep, or you're halfway to prep. Well, fuck, we're over halfway. Let's keep going. Fucking whatever, blah, blah. So just like, it can just systemize that stuff where it's not like you're forgetting about your client, but it just reminds them that they're part of something more substantial, and sort of keeps like all of that going. And it leaves me to be more engaging on my end and not have to be like, hey, did you do your fucking posing videos today? Did you do your WhatsApp today? Did you do this? Did you do that? And like, say a client starts up, I've got mapped out day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kind of like, okay, so how to use the app, and it's got like a tutorial lesson like on how to do it. how to use Chronometer, because it links to your Chronometer. So it's like how to use Chronometer and have that sync to the account, so I can just see your macros straight away. And then it also brings up your food diary. Doesn't give you the same breakdown as Chronometer, but it will give you like basically your food selection, your food choices, like, and your macros, like your split. So that'll come up on literally a screen. I can preset my metrics that I consider trackable. I can preset photos that I want to see. I can also preset like so one of the processes we have is automating is goal setting. So I make sure that every client goes through our goal setting folder, watches the videos, and then after we've already talked about what we're trying to achieve, takes the time to actually fill it out and put that in words. 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 3 years, 5 years. Like, what do you want in everything? Then says, hey, screenshot that, upload that to, or either screenshot or save a copy of to your computer, because it's PC oriented as well. Upload that into your goal setting section of your client metrics in Photos. Tells them how to do all that. Tells them what their expectations are. The fucking fun side is that we found is the communities aspect. So basically, it's kind of got like a Facebook thread to it that they built when everyone was getting sick of watching all the fucking voting and stuff in America like 2 years ago. So what they did was, to get everyone off that, they made a fucking basically a Facebook Twitter. Right. But on top of that, it also goes into kind of like a Reddit, because you can create your own communities. So like you have your general access one, which is like every member or client can see. And then you can start to create isolation. So I've built out like a prep community. I've built out like a lifestyle change community. I've built out like PEDs, nutrition, psychology, whatever. So like I can talk on different topics in the specific community, or I can just include everyone in the general one and just talk about everything. And then it's fully engaging with, like, you can upload photos, screenshots, send GIFs, schedule posts, like praise clients, tag clients, direct message, all this sort of shit. So yeah, it's for what it is and what we've got, it's fucking unreal. It sort of just allows me to be more interactive as a coach, but also handle a large amount of people very personally, and still keep that sort of interactive side that I have, I think, as a business, that makes us a bit unique. And then I believe we can sell the service side. So like if I just want to sell VIP access, the subscription lets you do that. So right.
You can break it up into like sections and stuff like that.
Exactly. So you want to be a part of the VIP community, or like the education community. Well, you'll get access to our fucking ebooks, our articles, and our blogs. And then on top of that, you'll also get access to the private community just for education, or just for articles or research reviews or whatever.
Yeah, perfect. So you can almost, you can change like the pricing and everything of it. So you can give them blocks. Yeah, that's good. That makes life easier for you.
Yeah, in years to come, in time to come, especially as I get a lot more involved in like research reviews, lit reviews, critical analysis, stuff like that, especially over like my own degree, I'll just upload my own like pieces from uni and just be like, fucking, well, here's this, read that. You know, obviously we pay people to write for stuff for us. We write stuff, we do article reviews and stuff. So it's going to be an ongoing part of the parcel that, you know, one of our things is education. So yeah, it's just it pushed back priority of the course that I was building out, because this was a lot more like immediacy. Just kind of get clients to this already and start getting feedback and get it going. So it pushed back the timeline a little bit on the course, but understandably providing for who we have versus worrying about other people straight away makes more sense, right?
Yeah, 100%. That's cool. Be fun.
And then turns out America's legit. I've got to start figuring out how we get into America and passports and visas. And I was like,
have you not got a passport? What is it with you white people?
No, I lost
it. I'm kidding. How'd you lose it?
I couldn't tell you. I think it was somewhere in the move. One of the moves. Like I don't have it.
Yeah, you better go to the top of that shit ASAP.
Oh yeah, I cancelled.
When are you going?
It's like August.
Oh, when in August? Middle, end, start?
Start.
Dick.
Why?
I think I'm going to Hawaii at the start of September.
Just accept that.
I mean, I could meet you there.
Come over earlier and just stay in America for a month.
I mean, no, wait. August. No, I got comps in August.
Yeah, the only shit part is because mum was like, "Oh, this is real. Like, why don't you extend your stay? You can only go to America so often." I'm like, "No, bro. This will be a regular thing. I'm going to nail this. I'm going to come back again. This is like 100%. you dip your toes, hang out for a minute, go home." Because like peak August comes into next semester, which I have 2 subjects, and then I've got peak loading for 10 clients coming into shows for September.
Yeah, I was gonna say like August is a busy month.
Yeah, I was like, for me, with the amount of like emotional interaction and just client need,
Yeah.
like I can't be there much longer than a week. Even if
Yeah.
I'm still running my system, I'm still running behind.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it'll be like just the priority will be like, 30 hours on a plane is basically client work, programming, content, whatever. I'll have everyone planned out before I go, but
Yeah.
just stuff that troubleshooting that will come up
Of
or
course.
like
Yeah. Yeah. That's what you're planning
issues
for. You're,
that
you're planning for the worst case.
yeah. So for me, I'm like, nah, look, as fun as it'd be to have like a 2 week holiday in America for the first time being there or something, I'm like, if 5 days, because it's a 3 day conference, I believe.
I mean,
And
3-day conference, stay for a week or something. Get an extra
well,
three or
that's
four
what I was
days out
going
of
to
the
say is
weekend.
like, stay for a week because it's Washington, D.C. So we stay for a week,
Yeah.
go over there. The team over there, we've already spoke to them and you said like, do you have like video crews and stuff that you're pretty confident with? Because we just, instead of flying my guy over and have to pay for that, I'd just love to have, someone capture content for us and get some footage of the seminar plus
Yeah.
training across the, in Washington or going to New York for a session or something.
Surely
Um,
that surely they'd have someone.
yeah, and he said that. He said, like, don't worry,
Yeah.
we'll take care of you. And I was like,
Yeah.
fuck. I still in my head doubt this is even real, but I feel like I'm
Yeah.
gonna get there and just be like, sucker.
It's
Like,
like you book it, you get there, it's like an empty stadium. Like, oh, okay then. I mean, not the worst thing in the world. You're in America. You may as well enjoy it.
yeah, may as well fuck it. Either way, I win. But at the same
Yeah.
time, like, it's still me. What do you want here?
I'll
What
I'll
is...
I'll, I'll be sure you're in a very harsh dieting phase when you get over there.
Get fucked.
In and out burger, not for you, buddy.
I've got to get over there 110 to 120 fucking jacked. Make a statement amongst the Americans like this guy's huge and knows what he's talking about.
And 3 grams a day. Here we go.
Mate, you say I do. I don't give a fuck. Just
Anyway,
hopefully stop swelling up.
yeah. So what's going on? Why are we talking about females and drugs again? I feel like we talk about this a lot. Or
Females and drugs.
Maybe it's just in general we'll talk about this a lot.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, in general, it's a pretty common conversation we have taking the piss. But so one of the things that alarms me, and I've not been in the PED game that long, but I'm also not that uneducated, I would like to presume. I mean, going by general feedback from people that engage in the content is that it's mind-boggling, but whatever. Is the unawareness of female anatomy and physiology, biochemistry and whatnot. And then on top of that, prescription or reasons for use. Now, I'm not against someone coming to me, wanting to consult or whatever, or saying, hey, like, I want to have a chat. I'm thinking about doing X, Y, Z. But I've had clients, I've been getting clients, I've been having people message me, things like misconceptions where VAR is the female drug with an androgen ratio of like, what, 10 to 1? And androgen test ratio, I think it's 10 to 1, right?
Yeah, those ratios are so fucking stupid in itself. But yeah, sure, let's go with that.
Okay, let's go with that.
Yeah, those ratios are so skewed. There's no actual. The whole assay ratio debate has sort of been now like nullified. They're like testosterone's like a 1 to 1, and then they use like trends like 500 to 1 or whatever. I can't even remember what the numbers are. That's how fucking much I don't use the ratios anymore. The androgen to anabolic ratios, it's just not a thing because the assays were used in mice from memory. But anyway,
classic.
Yeah, we don't talk about them.
So let's just go total like androgenic load. Let's just go total load.
Yeah.
So getting females just come up to me and just throwing numbers, like just simple things like we talked about this off screen in message where I've just got females that come up and be like, oh, I just want to start doing think I'm doing some orals or think I'm doing X, Y, Z. I don't want to do injectables. I just want to do orals. Okay, why? That's even worse, but sure. I just want to do like maybe 10 grams of Anavar a day. And you're like, okay, so what are you trying to achieve? And why did you pick 10 grams? What did you base that criteria on? Oh, just like, like bikini girls do VAR, or like it's the bikini girl drug, or like this is just what girls do.
Yeah,
or like,
she did it, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I don't want to do injectables because that's too extreme, but I'll take orals that will fuck my liver and kidney. Yeah. Okay, so why? And like this is the first thing I'll say to anyone who wants to do it. I'm not opposed to it, obviously. But if you can't give me a legitimate reason why, I'm not going to sit and be like, oh, let's have a chat about it. Like, I'm just going to straight up shut you down and be like, no, dumb. Like, that is absolutely dumb.
Yeah.
If you're not even competing or in the mental capacity to compete or the start of process to compete, and you're directly coming up to me with, hey, I want to start taking this. What do you think? Well, firstly, booking a consult, respect the system properly. I'm not just going to have this conversation over a fucking text message. But secondly, why? What do you, what are you so behind in your training about that you want to rush it with exogenous hormones and toxic hormones that you don't understand and clearly don't even know why you're using them? And then saying, oh, but, I just want to gain muscle, or, I want to get more lean, or what have you, whatever. Okay. How low did you push your calories? Oh, I did a 1,600 calorie cut. Okay. That's so nothing. What was your surplus? Oh, 1,800. Okay, cool. So you're not even like pushing the limits hard, but your first point of contact is, so train for 3 to 6 months, and now I'm thinking about doing gear. Like,
Yeah,
at a certain point to me, coaches definitely need to do better in prescription for starters. Like, some of the women that I am working with and the results they're getting without even touching a substance at all. Like, odd things like metformins included, obviously, you got general creatines and shit, but actual exogenous hormones not even in play, and they're sitting on higher calories they've ever had in their life with greater training intensity output than they've ever experienced, blowing up. And they're like, oh yeah, my previous coach said to do XYZ drugs. And you're like, but why? Why did they say it? Oh, I don't know.
well, the
Okay.
thing is, I think in that, like those some of those examples, I think coaches need to be better at managing their clients' expectations because
Mm-hmm.
if you've only trained for 3, 6, 12, 24 months, you still haven't really understood well, you still haven't understood training, to be honest. You probably haven't understood dieting, both up
Mm-hmm.
and down, maintenance, and all that sort of stuff. You haven't actually grasped the basic concepts yet. It takes time, and people want to rush the process and want to rush the result. And then, we get like all these bikini athletes, wellness athletes. Um, Really, wellness is probably the biggest one I see. I come across more so than any other division posting, and then not openly talking about PED usage, but when these girls put on their Instagrams, like the anonymous questions, and obviously a lot of them do get asked if they're on PEDs, and it's like, well, they're like, look, I'm open and honest about it. Yeah, I do use, but they don't talk about what, obviously, which is
Yeah.
a very good thing for them. Like, well done. But at the same time, it then leads to females being like, well, okay, if I want to look like her, I need to get on drugs. It's like,
Yeah.
and it's the same with guys, right? Like we've all
Oh
done
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
We've all done it. We've all been like,
Mm-hmm.
I need to look like that, so I need to do that. And it's like, well, no, you need to train and get the habits and routines
Mm-hmm.
in first, and the lifestyle sort of dialed in first before we start looking at enhancement practices, whether it be anabolic androgenic steroid use or whether it be other forms of PED usage, because there are many other forms of PEDs we can use, especially with females, that aren't necessarily androgenic and going to give you those potential side effects, which girls don't seem to care about, or maybe they're just not aware of, or
I think it's a lack of aware of, to be
yeah,
honest.
like until shit hits the fan and you're like, okay, well, you shouldn't have done that or for the extended period of time. And it's like, I think last podcast or podcast before in like strongman, like I know girls that have been doing orals for 17 weeks. It's like you're cooked. Like don't get me wrong. Anavar is one of those funny orals where it is still hepatotoxic. It's just not as hepatotoxic. So you can in theory run it longer, but is the trade-off worth the risk? And that's what it comes
Yeah.
down to when it comes to any supplement usage, right? Both over the counter as well as not over the counter, under the counter.
Mm-hmm.
So for females, it's like, well, do you want to risk side effects, and having, male secondary or male sex hormone or male secondary side effects, right? Like, do you want deepening of the voice? Do you want extra hair? Do you want
Yeah.
virilization? Do you want all these things? Because these are the things you do risk based on exposure and based on the amount, based on
Mm-hmm.
time. We really see that it is more so time of exposure versus amount of exposure, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so milligram dosage versus over how long. That's when we start to see side effects. So you can even take a small amount. So some people would be like, well, I'm just going to take a little bit for a long time, and it's like, well, it's not going to work very well for you.
Mm-hmm.
What a lot of girls don't realize is females are androgen sensitive, right? Obviously, you're estrogen dominant. That's the whole point. Males are the opposite. We're more
Mm-hmm.
estrogen sensitive and we're more testosterone dominant or androgen dominant. So when we take anabolic steroids or androgenic steroids, we get a very different reaction. We get quite the benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, very hard for a male to take enough to really fuck up the side effect side of things. At least for, an extended period of time. We might get some, little acute things here and there, which are very easily managed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but females, on the other hand, don't. They're very, very sensitive. So when they start looking at amounts and dosages and all this sort of stuff, it's like no female realizes how much testosterone they actually produce on the daily on average. Um, an average female that doesn't train, I'm fairly sure, produces like between 0.3 to 0.7 milligrams per day. I think it bumps up from memory if it's a trained, healthy individual, somewhere between 1 and 3 milligram potentially daily. I'd have to check it, but I'm pretty sure that's the amount. So when a girl comes to you and she's like, I want to take 30 milligram of Anavar a day, you're taking potentially 10 times the amount of testosterone that you produce per
Oh,
day. Then spread that over the week.
yeah. Yeah.
Like these are the things that aren't considered. It's relative. Like, yeah, like just because she took 10 milligrams of Anavar per day and didn't get any side effects doesn't mean you won't or you will. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And you don't know until you start sort of going down that track. And it's why it's like when I take the approach with PED usage, I get told a lot like, oh, I'm very, very, very conservative. I'm like, yeah, I am because I look after my client's health
Mm-hmm.
and I use the minimal effective dose because my clients still get fucking results. There's a
Yeah.
difference. They still fucking grow. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's no question. So how much until we see this negative feedback loop of like we're not getting any gains, but we're just getting all side effects. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's what we're trying to sort of push. But with females, you have so many more PEDs to use, man. It's like you have so many things at your disposal. You have things like, you know, your metformin, your thyroid medication, T3, T4. You have things like clenbuterol, which is muscle retentive for males, and it's actually muscle building for females.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have all these options, injectable L-carnitine. You have simple fucking vitamins that no female takes that actually have quite a nice effect. Creatine. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
many females that take creatine. Like these are all better, or not better. These are all viable options leading to gains
Mm-hmm.
versus anabolic androgenic steroids. If you want to use anabolic androgenic steroids, you need to make sure that your side effect profile or the risk of side effects is worth the goal.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, what's the point of doing it?
Yeah.
Like, are you willing to risk not having kids? Sure,
Yeah.
go for it. Go for it. If that's what you want to do and you're dead set, hell bent, go for it. Go nuts. Take everything you fucking want. But if you're like, nah, I probably still want to have kids in a couple of years' time, it's like, well, we need to assess, like, what it is that you actually truly want.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, and it's the alarming part, I think, or lack of awareness where, like, as got like guys are obviously when we're more invested in things, I find we're more invested in understanding or knowing the why behind it. We want to know, like, same reason why an engineer wants to take away part of a car and figure that shit out. Same reason why a fucking builder wants to put together a whole house. We want to understand the ins and outs of it. But I feel like, and sometimes it comes across pretty heavily in your enhanced female routes, where it's just a matter of like, oh, I've got to do this because Lara such and such does this, or Lauren such and such took this, and they're at the top of this game and they're doing this. It's like, but have any of you stopped from the top down process here, looked and gone, what happens if I take this? Am I actually maxing out everything first? Or is my self-esteem, my self-worth, my general sense of self-concept, my body image, is all of that in such a low state position that I'm willing to rush that just to get a result that realistically is probably not going to make me feel any better about myself anyway, unless I'm a competitively driven person. So if I'm just trying to shortchange the result to have that six pack or have the shredded shoulders or have these bigger quads or, plump up my booty, which, mind you, we can all still achieve, like that's still doable naturally, or at least with different forms of exogenous supplementation. If you haven't done those things and all of a sudden you're trying to shortchange that and rush the distance, you just open yourself up to more complications and more issues and the greater risk or propensity of side effects, especially if you haven't got like, I don't even put myself in the educated camp. I just am cautionary in application and suggestion because I know the consequences of things that can go wrong. So I'd rather start with less, figure out responses, and always titrate from there as opposed to let's go right from the top. Unfortunately, there's just coaches who will just say, here, take all this. And if your answer from a coach is just listen to me or trust me or do as I say, that's not your concern. Immediate red flag, especially as a female, if you're getting prescribed exogenous supplementation and you're not being told why or how or you know, the potential risks of side effects. I'm all for it, provided that it's mapped out in front of you, like, hey, this could go wrong, or this could be what happens. And then from there, you've got your risk versus reward ratio to weigh up and say, I understand this, and I accept the consequences, or I accept the potential consequences. I still want this.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know, you don't have an informed choice. You have a forced opinion.
Yeah, and it actually this actually really leads into a nice question that we got from one of the listeners, and it's an interesting one because the question was, do you think when it comes to being a pro at bodybuilding that the safer use model isn't something that's used, right? So we know that like the safer use model, or I guess I like to call it the minimum effective model, to be honest.
Yeah.
um, I'll coin that if you want. Just put my name to it. But elite strength method, the elite strength model, minimal effective dosage.
Be less shit with drugs.
Pretty much. No, like, is that something that's worth chasing in? Is that something, sorry, worth deploying while going or looking to be pro, right? In terms of bodybuilding. But I mean, we can take the whole pro mindset with any sport. The pros at any sport are usually the genetically elite. It's very rare that a sport has those that can grind their way in. Now, it's not to say that they can't, but they're the outside liars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the ones that sit outside the bell curve. Genetically elite in bodybuilding is, well, you need to be genetically elite, basically, to be an elite upper echelon bodybuilder. Now, you don't necessarily need to be, I guess, genetically elite to be a good bodybuilder, but you do need to be genetically gifted. Like, there is this difference. Like, I would not have the genetics to be a good bodybuilder. Put it that way. I'm very well aware. I've got great genetics to fucking run and kick a football around. No stress. Like Ben, on the other hand, has probably got pretty damn good genetics to be a bodybuilder. Probably not the best genetics to run around and kick a football. Like, that's just how it is.
Pretty good.
Pretty good, not elite. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Exactly. It's like, yeah, I can be a good bodybuilder, no stress. I can't be an elite bodybuilder.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
So it's like, when we come to using drug deployment, the genetically elite don't necessarily need that much. It's relative, because as you get bigger, as you start to mature, using more, it's still in that relative scale.
Yes.
Right. If we were to look at the whole milligram per kilogram dosage, which again is flawed, but it's not a bad base to use, right?
Yeah.
If we're talking at 1 to 3 as a TRT, HRT, if we're looking at, up to 5 as the sport HRT, we'll call it. And then we're looking at between, 5 and 10 milligram per kilo as a beginner, intermediate 10 to 15 milligram, elite 15 or 20 milligram plus, we'll call it, right? Per kilo. Like, that's pretty fucking, that's a decent. You're 100 kilos and using 20 milligrams per kilo. You're using over 2 grams a week, right?
Yep.
But as you get heavier,
that has to go up.
You need to use more, but it's still relative to your body weight.
Yes.
Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's still relative to your health, because you still effectively are using more. So you do compromise your health more and more the more you use. Can you still progress with a safer use model in place? Yes. Will it take you longer to get to where you want to be? Most likely. And that's where the cost is for most people. They don't want to wait 5 years. They want to do it in 2.
Yes.
They want it now. They don't want to say, hey, I can do this for 5 years, get good, and then do it for another 10 years. They're like, I want to do it in 2 years, do it for another 5 years, and I'm done.
Yeah.
Difference. So again, it's like the amount of drugs used will be applicable to the goal. It's like, okay, well, if your goal is, hey, I want to get my pro card in 3 years, I was like, okay, well, we're going to have to probably turn the shit up a notch.
Yeah.
If you're like, hey, I'm not too concerned about when I get it, as long as I sort of get it in the next 5-6 years, cool. We can ease back a little bit, keep you as healthy for as long as possible before we have to start risking things. People don't like that.
Yeah.
People don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Because people want it now.
Yeah, and that is literally a definitive reflection of the inability to delay gratification.
Yeah.
Like psychologically and subconsciously, the desire for impulse or erratic behavior is resulting in the general sense of abuse because we're not willing to put in long-term work to achieve a long-term goal. It's looked at now, especially in the realm of like social medias and Instagrams. And I hate I hate kind of using this cop out where social media is influencing people to rush things, blah blah. But to a degree, it does. Should you be in charge of your own environment and what you see and what you stimulate yourself with? Absolutely. Are you being dictated to based on the fact that you watch some 22 to 25-year-old who's done nothing in life but absolutely abused gear since they're 18, and that's making you want to start abusing? Okay, that's on you, but at the same time, be a little bit smarter. Are you will and this is something that I've preached to a lot of my clients, especially clients that are coming to me as business mentorees, as well as they got their own physique goals.
Yeah.
Are you willing to do something longer than anyone else in order to be more successful at it?
Yeah, exactly right.
Because if you're just doing this for the short-term gain, whether it be coaching, business, online coaching, fucking therapy, whether it be physique development, you want to get a pro card, or you just want to see if you like competing, it may take you a little bit longer. But if you simply don't quit and are willing to put in the work, be smarter about application, risk management, fatigue management, recovery focuses. You're not going out partying. You're not going out smashing exogenous recreational drugs.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not drinking all the time, if you're not just eating highly processed shit foods, actually taking antioxidants, keeping up with your fucking stress reduction, prioritizing training intensity, knowing when to push and when to pull back. If you're doing those things consistently, then drugs on top of that just helps the process.
Yeah.
You're not substituting all of that with more drugs, which I think is where a common part of the equation or problem lies, is that people think they can shortchange all of that work by just taking more drugs.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we start seeing the normality be like, oh, this person just takes 2 grams or 1.5 grams or 3 grams. Okay, but I've got guys here on 0.6 grams per kilogram that are growing at a rate faster than you, and you're taking 2 to 3 grams.
Yeah. And my question to people that have that mentality is like, okay, if you were told that you couldn't get a pro card by taking drugs, so you had to not take drugs to get a pro card, would you still do it?
Yeah.
Would you still chase that?
Mm-hmm.
And if they say, yeah, fucking oath, it's like, okay, cool. You've got the right mentality. And it's like, if they're like, oh, it's like, well, if there's a slight hesitation, it's like, well, no, this isn't for you.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of your pro card is you relying on drugs. Like your reliance on that tells me more than I need to know. I'm not the coach for you, or this sport is not for you. You need to want to be able to train. You want to be able to diet. You need to want to do these things without assistance first.
Yes.
And then once you've done this without assistance and shown that you want it, okay, we can look at the other things. So you need to actually earn some shit.
Yeah.
Like in the gym, sometimes you need to earn exercises. Like sometimes you need to fucking earn the use of supplementation. Like it's just that simple.
Like before you go telling me can I take all these lipolytics to enhance my fat loss phase? Are you actually adherent to a fat loss target? Are you still reaching cardio output? Are you still reaching this and that? Are you still reaching these things before we progress your drug intake? Just erratically deciding a drug is for you because drugs and faster, or it's easier for drug athletes, blah, blah. The second you cross that realm, you start to realize very quickly the different in standard and quality of competition, that is not easier. The risk, the funnest thing about the fact that no one is cheating because everyone's cheating means that the level is so much higher. There is no excuse of oh, this person may or may not be, this person may or may not be, this person could or couldn't. You're literally making that choice because everyone's making that choice, and now we're on the same level. It's just how much of that you're willing to do. And I've seen guys that I had my first season against, and they were they smoked me then. Absolutely. Don't even do it anymore. And that was 3 years ago. Yeah, and they 100%. May have been first or second year, first timers, novice, whatever. So relatively new. And, the conditions they got in, the way they looked, fucking unreal at the time. But they also quit. And knowing the practices and protocols would have given up a lot of health to do that.
Yeah, and it's literally like, what are you willing to risk? And is that like I've always said, is that risk worth it? 9 times out
Yeah.
of 10, it's not.
And I think just in female PED usage, that is the problem to me, is that they're not aware of what they're actually sacrificing or the decision they're making. At least in most part, I would say they're not aware. Once you're aware and you make that choice to me, fine. But you better be able to have a clear picture to me as to why you want to do it, so that I know what we're working for, and it doesn't come back, 2 years later and say, hey, Ben fucked this woman up and made her do this because she didn't want to. You come to me with a very clear goal about what you want to do and why. I'll fucking help you achieve it. But
That's
I'm not
it.
going to be the one to say, here, take all these things, because you
No,
all of a sudden feel a little
no,
bit shit about
100%.
taking longer to grow.
Yeah,
But you also don't sleep over 8 hours. You
yeah,
aren't training 5 days a week to max intensity or reaching your volume cap. You're
yeah,
not pushing MRV. You're not pushing your recovery metrics. You're not eating all of your meals. You're not hitting macro targets. Like, I'm not going to say here's enhancements when you haven't even enhanced your lifestyle.
yeah. And literally, I have that many clients that have come to me over the years, or consults that have come to me over the years, and they're like, I know you know something about this stuff. I want to come to you because I want to start taking it. And I'm like, hey, you may want to start taking it, but if you want me to coach you, I need to deem you ready to start taking it.
Mm.
There's a difference. And then they're like, oh, well, I just want to do it anyway. I'm like, that's fine. You can just do consults. Like, I'm not going to coach you. You just do a consult.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll give you all the education you need, but what you do with it's your point is
Yeah.
on you. It's not, I waive all liability. It's not my problem what you want to do.
Yeah.
But
I'm
if you
not
want,
putting my
yeah,
name to this.
yeah, if you want direct coaching, then you need to have like basically my blessing to start using. If that makes sense. Because
I
it
think
is
I've
a serious thing. It's a big deal.
Yeah, like one I I've mapped out with several clients where I think they would stand if they like at what point would be logical,
Yeah.
or like at what points would titrate supplementation, or what the
Yeah.
next thing that would be introduced. Um, and like even somewhere I mapped it out for them, pros and cons, why I wouldn't do it, why I would do it, how I would have changed my timing earlier, yada yada.
Yeah.
Like I've gone through all those things where they have the most evidence from me possible to say the decision's yours now to make. um but are we also, before we even go down this route, are you getting me all your data? Are you getting me all your check-ins? Are you getting me the information? Are you actually tracking things? Are you keeping tabs of this stuff? Are you still going out trying to please if like females, or trying to get laid and you want to go out a
Yeah.
night out every weekend, but also you want to take PEDs and do XYZ? No, for
Yeah.
me it's the two are mutually exclusive. We start supplementing, you stop partying. That's it. There is either that should already be stopped, or it's stopping, and that's the choice to make. Because for me, I've seen what happens. I've fucking made those mistakes. I'm like, I regretted the periods of time where I went out when I wanted to train instead, and it was just like that point in time. You're like, oh, I'm trying to please everyone else. No, I'm like the whole reason you're coming to me is because we have a system in place to stop you making the same mistakes I did.
Literally, we're here to make sure you do everything correctly because we didn't do it correctly. And it's like, I was actually considering, because I don't think I've actually ever posted that I was in the hospital with my pancreatitis. And I'm like, I think we came to the conclusion we're not very sure that it was androgen mediated. And it's like,
Mhm.
hey, like this is the one of the risks you run by
Yeah.
running androgens. Like,
Yes.
yeah, I was literally bedridden for days. And I was told the first time that if I left it any longer, I would have been stuck for 6 months because my pancreas would have just gone to shit.
Mhm.
Like, again, like these are risks that you run. It's like I'm very well aware of the risks. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like I'm mad about it. I don't regret
Yeah.
it. If anything, I used it as an educational tool. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think
But
once you've been informed enough, especially females, like if you want to have kids, if you want your menstrual cycle to come back properly, if you want your health to come back properly, if you want to consider kids eventually, you can still do certain things. You can still compete. You can still use your genetics to your advantage. And most of the time, I find that a lot of females, before they even start talking about exogenous supplementation, haven't even maximized their genetics in the first place to say that they've capped out and it's time to use subs.
yeah,
So, like, take those things into consideration, educate yourself, and then if you choose to do it after that, like, sweet, come have a chat. Let's talk about what you
yeah,
want to do.
you're better off having all the tools at your disposal than not having the tools at your disposal
Yeah.
before you start a job. So
Yep.
it's pretty straight fucking forward. I feel like that's the most simple, logical way to put
Yeah.
it.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Let's do questions. It's enough
Alrighty.
ranting about drugs, even though we probably got more questions about drugs, but let's find out. What have we got? Yeah, so again, more drug questions because standard. But let's start with another question that's not a drug question, shall we? For beginners, Should you start by learning squat, bench, deadlift, or stick to machines? Now, I know where this came from because I know which podcast it came off because I listened to it and I thought it was quite interesting. The what most PTs back in the day would do, it was always dependent on your environment and where you went to get coached or PT'd for the first time. And I see it still to this day, right? I still see PTs now. If I go to Doherty's that get a new client, or obviously a client that can't really move, I've never seen them do any free space resistance based training. I've never seen them do a bench press. I've never seen them do a squat. I've never seen them do a deadlift or an RDL or a variation of. I've always only ever seen PTs put people on machines. At one stage back in the day, people would criticize PTs for doing it, saying, you guys are lazy by putting everyone on machines. You wouldn't get them to do anything else. Are you incapable of teaching these movements? And then there was this shift, right? To like PTs coaching squat, bench, dead. And it's kind of like, well, is that what the client needs, especially if they're brand new? No. Especially if the thing is, though, does the client need it if they're intermediate or advanced and their goal is hypertrophy? No. You don't need to squat, bench, and dead to get big. And I feel like people still miss this mark. Like, these movements aren't your necessarily best movements for hypertrophy. I will argue tooth and nail that the bench press is one of the shittest exercises to build your pecs. Will it make you really fucking strong? Yes. Will it make you really good at bench press? Yes. Will it grow your pecs? Yes. Will it grow your pecs as much as something else that converges? No. Basic biomechanics. Squats probably will not build your quads as much or as efficiently as something like a hack squat. You have too much external stability to worry about and to control and to counter for, which leaks energy that you can't put into the movement itself. Way more joint stress than there is muscular stress. It's different. It's not to say that it won't grow your quads and glutes and all that sort of shit, because it does. We know that. But does it grow it as well as something else that's machine based, like a hack squat? Probably not. Or a pendulum. Pendulum's better. But anyway, same thing with the deadlift. I don't know anyone that's actually genuinely got jacked just doing deadlifts. I don't know. Do they get thick, big erectors? Sure. Do they get lats and traps? 100%. Do they actually get any bigger from not doing other exercises? Like, no. Like, they're in conjunction with all the time. The deadlift is a great strength building exercise. It does have a very nice hypertrophic response. It's just not as good as other things based on what you're trying to grow. Do we need to teach basic newbies squat, bench, dead? No. But if they come to you and say, I want to squat, bench, dead, well, what the fuck are you going to do? You're going to teach them to squat, bench, and dead. Like, you might try and get them to do a couple of machines to feel certain muscle groups, but at the same time, you don't feel muscles in squat, bench, and dead. Like, for anyone that's ever done squat, bench, and dead, like, I did powerlifting for fucking years. You don't genuinely feel the muscles working at the time. You might feel them the next day when you get DOMs. But at that point in time, I don't feel my pecs contracting when I'm trying to throw up a 2-3 plate bench press. I don't feel my glutes, hamstrings, sometimes lower back, but like lower back erectors when I'm trying to pull a deadlift. I don't feel my quads and glutes firing when I'm squatting. You know what I mean? It's like, if you want to get someone to feel their quads, put them on a fucking leg extension. They're going to feel their quads. You want them to feel the hamstrings. Even like you want them to feel the hamstrings, put them on a leg curl. You want them to feel the calves, put them on a fucking standing calf raise. Like, what is your objective? What are you trying to get? Like, I saw the argument.
Like, then you start looking at like things like SFR, right? Like stimulus to fatigue ratio. Like, for instance, when I look at the deadlift, and there's been periods of time in my life where I used to love 3-rep maxes, 1-rep and stuff like that. I used to love just fucking feeling strong. I'd pull like a 230 dead at like, I think it was like 85, 90 kilos. It was fucking fun. I loved it. That's not very good, but with some of the spinal damage, it's not bad. And I just love fucking training heavy. But then I also started to look at it and go, well, if I'm absolutely fucking fried from this 5x5 or 4x6 at the start of my program, what have I got after that that's coming up that would have facilitated that growth that I've now drained fuel for? and I'm just struggling to recover to lift properly. So when it comes to stimulating growth, is this exercise the best option for me to prioritize? Or is it going to come in a later block where I'm just simply trying to look at improving strength? If I'm in there trying to stimulate growth and I really want to try and increase hypertrophy, I'm probably not going to be worried about the deadlift at the start of like a pull day. I'm going to go, well, can I do something like a standing single arm row? Can I do a single arm lat pull down? Because those are going to be able to drive more signal specific hypertrophy to that muscle group that I'm training in that range that I'm trying to train it versus here's a fucking heavy as fuck 4x6, 4x4 deadlift that is going to fuck the rest of my session and probably tax me the rest of the week.
Yeah, people still don't understand, I think, that the squat, the bench, and the dead, especially, are really more expressions of strength.
Yes.
They are genuinely strength expression. That's what it is. It's like, I'm this strong. Here's my number. Because no one cares how much you leg press. No one cares how much you fucking bicep curl. Like, if you wanted, like, we've always known that, the squat, the bench, and the dead has always been the measure of how strong someone is. That's just what it is. We just roll with it, right? It doesn't necessarily mean they make you bigger in terms of musculature. And I think that's still the thing that needs to be separated. It's not to say that they don't. It's just that there is better.
Yeah.
But again, if I have a new fucking client come in and they're like, dude, I just want to get healthy and lean, I am probably, actually, no, I'm not going to give them a squat, bench, and deadlift. If I'm working in a gym where I only have a barbell and some plates, well, guess what I'm doing? Because that's what I've got.
Yes.
If I'm in a fully equipped bloody gym, I'm not going to make them do that. So
there's so many nuances that come into like that like external environmental factors that come into play as to what you program someone. Like even if I love fucking pendulums and hack squats. I haven't touched a back squat in I reckon probably 3 or 4 years. I've done Smith machine squats because it runs on such a stable parallel bar that I can just simply squat up and down. External stability isn't really required, and I get mad knee flex out of it. But when it comes to quad development, if I'm doing a specificity phase, I will fucking start on a hack squat or a pendulum because they're fucking brutal and I love them. Now, that to me is like if that's available in my gym, fantastic. I will prescribe it to my clients. If that's available in the gym that they're at, sweet, let me know because we'll put that in. Then work back from that if it isn't available. Okay, well, do you have a leg press? Do you have a barbell? Is there a cage? Can we do a squat? Do you have a Smith machine? We do Smith squats. Like, it's not just what I want to be the best exercise. It's what's available in the gym. What is available to that person at the time? Does it make sense in the block? Does it make sense in exercise order? I'm not really fond of giving complexity movements at the back end of a program when someone's fucking completely fatigued. So I'm not going to do RDL, deadlift, leg press, then go a back squat. That to me would just be like a fucking fucked program layout that is just probably going to lead to injuries because you're so fatigued by the end of it that you're just not going to train properly. So like all these metrics come into play when you look at why did I pick the squat?
Yeah, exactly right. It's like any exercise selection requires a why. It's that simple.
Sometimes it can just be fucking simple. I just want a simple isometric joint to fucking load the quad. Okay, leg extensions. Great.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be like some super complex reasoning, but going through a full fucking layout of a program, they're going, I've pre-fatigued the whole muscle group. Now I'm going to do back squats.
Oh, I've seen so many weird programming methodologies, and it's like I literally saw the other day, and it's common. It's not like it's one person, but I saw like a hack squat and a barbell squat in the same workout. I'm like, bruh. I mean, look, maybe depending on sets and reps, maybe I can see a justification for it. But I was just like, oh, okay, like, sure.
So I had feedback of a program where someone had four hinge movements. In one session, obviously as a bikini girl sort of layout, 4 hinge movements, all free weight load and under heavy load, also reporting back pain. Continued to put in those hinge movements.
Of course.
Why not? Anyway. All right. My question. What do we got?
I mean, I've got heaps more here.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Fuck, marry, kill. John Wayne Gacy, Jeffrey Dahmer, and Adolf Hitler. Jesus fuck.
I mean, we'd have to kill Hitler, right?
Yeah, he's the worst of the 3, surely, right? I mean, depends what side you're on the coin.
Perspective.
Yeah. One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. Right?
I might bang Jeffrey Dahmer because I feel like he'd be into some kinky shit.
Yeah, I think just Gacy is just fucked. Like
Yeah.
30 plus young boy, like nah, dog. Like you're out. You're just straight up gone.
Yeah. Well, yeah, anyway, I feel like Hitler's going to be the one that you got to kill because it's Hitler,
Yeah,
and then it's a toss up between the other two.
yeah. You can literally flip a coin on those two. Either way, you're not
Yeah.
having a good time.
No.
Oh, you are. Depends what you're into.
Exactly. We don't judge.
Um. Oh, top five open class for the Arnolds this weekend.
Well, I've got Samson, Nick, Sean.
Well, you got Sean in third.
Yeah. Who else was there?
That's a
What's the-
big call because he's fucking like he's still got like that's still him ahead of Bonac
Yeah,
and
I don't see Bonac doing well.
yeah, no, neither do I. His showing at Arnold's, I wasn't a fan. Oh, Ramy's in there as well. Fucking,
Yeah,
it's basically
I
Olympia
yeah, that's
minus
right.
the top two.
I think I'd have Rami in fourth.
You got Andrew Jack in there as well.
Yeah, I'd have him fifth, I think. Was it Arnold's 2023? Yeah, so you got Bonac, Clarita, Sampson, Kamal, Rami, Patrick Moore, Andrew Jack. Oh, you got Justin Rodriguez, Akeem, and Nick Walker. So I'd probably go. Yeah, I'm gonna go Samson first, Nick second. I'm gonna go Clarita third. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Andrew Jack fourth, and then Rami five.
Yeah, I think this is a mistake for Remy. I don't think he's going to have corrected what he had problems with, and it's going to lower his like what are they the way they refer to it is basically lower his stock, like
Yeah,
his reputation or his renown between now and the next Olympia. Like he's going to fall out of favor, if you will, because he's not going to beat. He's going to show even worse against an improved Samson and an
yeah,
improved Nick Walker. Like it's just going to take him back further away from the top that he already is.
yeah,
So I think for me, yeah, I'm gonna like I think that three is probably gonna be similar for me. I don't know if I don't know if I want to see Andrew Jack fourth, but his size is just so pretty. Like it's
yeah,
just
yeah. I think like, yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. I'm gonna go
you could toss up
Samson,
between
Nick,
Ramy
Clarita,
and Andrew Jack as like fourth, fifth.
and fourth, fifth. Yeah, that's what I've got.
Yeah.
That's what I've got him in. Yeah,
I think that'd probably be my top five
yeah,
because like then you got like Patrick Moore depends he's just not big enough to compete with these guys. Andrew's like yeah it's Andrew
yeah. And
Akeem
then yeah,
if he
then
ever comes in
I'd put Bonac six, and then I'd have Rodriguez as seven.
yeah Bonac in sheer like size alone and
Yeah,
mass and then you probably have like Kamal back end
yeah,
of Bonac
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that'd probably be my
I reckon yeah, it would be an interesting
oh
turnout.
dude it's the first Arnold's I've paid for but I was like I need to start watching more of this shit because well it's what I put my life on so I should probably pay attention to it but
Business
also
expense.
yeah it's like probably like it is the lineup of the year outside of the Olympia, so it'd be stupid not to.
Exactly right.
Oh, would you rather a Batman Beyond movie or a Spider-Man 2099 movie?
Spider-Man 2020.
Yeah, me too.
Spider-Man. I'd take Spider-Man over Batman every day.
Yeah, I think I'm just sick of Batman. I'm sick of so many versions or reiterations of Batman
Now,
that
I'm not sick of Batman. I want to see more Joker.
that's fair.
I want to see
That's fair.
more Joker.
But yeah, I think like people really don't understand how cool the future Avengers or Marvel timeline is. Like 2099 is
Yeah,
fucking unreal.
yeah, yeah,
But Beyond is good because it's where Bruce is retired and he's bringing out
yeah.
the young cat to
Young
take over. It's
cats.
more
Yeah,
tech based and stuff. Not
yeah.
not bad, but I mean,
Like the futuristic
yeah. But
Batman.
future 2099 Marvel timeline is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I agree with that. Um, I have HGH questions. I've got
Oh,
two of
go.
them. I've got two of them. So one, does HGH help connective tissue repair, ligaments, tendons, labrum, cartilage, and all that sort of stuff? Does it? No, not really. The thing that most people I think don't understand about HGH is that it doesn't work independently very well. Um, it works beautifully with other things.
Yeah.
So in terms of tissue repair, coupling it with like a BPC 157 or a TB 500 is going to be much more beneficial because of its IGF-1 release.
Mhm.
And that's where it starts to do like that repair side of things. Whereas HGH by itself, it may help repair it a little bit because of some other cascades happening, but it's not going to be as efficient. The other question I got: main benefits of growth hormone, ideal dosage, and how does it work synergistically with insulin?
Basically, you just want to consult for growth hormone.
Yeah, I mean, the main benefits are, it helps with like your sleep, it helps with recovery, it helps with fat burning depending on timing, it helps with a whole stack of things to do with your health based on dose and timing. Now, how to like ideal dosage can be anywhere between fucking 2 and 10 IU, depending on goal, depending on quality.
Cost.
Yeah, well, it's really the cost is huge, but it's like quality of the actual supplement itself being a big one.
Yeah.
And then what dose you want to run it at, right? And then it's like, how does it work synergistically with insulin? Well, it kills insulin sensitivity. So using it with insulin allows a better uptake into the muscle of all its nutrients, including growth hormone. So shuttle it in, get fucking yoked, bro. That's very basic. If you actually want some in-depth detail, message me. Pay for a consult.
Fair.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait. Yeah.
hang on. Oh, I gotta find one. This will piss the people off. Fuck, marry, kill. Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate, Tim Grover.
Fuck, Andrew Tate, Jordan Grover. What was the other
Jordan Peterson.
one? I don't follow any of these guys. Let's kill Grover.
You're gonna kill Grover.
I think so. Because the other two are more interesting.
I mean, the man worked with Kobe, Jordan,
yeah,
and
but
Jay.
there's more controversy with the other two. It makes life interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean,
Yeah,
he
like
does.
he's Grover's over the hill. Like he's done. Whereas the other two are still coming up. Like we're good. Like Peterson I'd probably bang for fun because he looks like a little bitch. And then I'd marry Tate
It's like,
because
what even is sex,
yeah, and then like, well, I mean, you probably wouldn't even get laid. And then like Tate you'd just marry just because at least you can go all around the world and talk shit.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, yeah. I mean, I got no idea. I don't follow any of those guys at all.
I think purely based on an educational and like where I want to go and what I want to do standpoint, I would fuck Grover just for the sake of like having access to Grover and
to say that you've done it.
say that I've done it and like potentially get closer to like Jordan.
Yeah.
I'd marry Peterson just because like you'd never run out of shit to talk about in the field of study that I have. And then you just have to kill Tate. Like of the three influentially, he's probably the least productive. Does he tell men to own their shit and be more value-based and have some self-esteem, blah, blah. Yep, cool. But I mean, I'm not putting him in the same boat as Peterson and Grover in that aspect.
Yeah, that's fair.
What else have I got? Ever done shrooms? Yeah. Yes.
I haven't yet. I'm still keen to, but anyway.
I once took them. I got very misled as to the timelines of when to do things. It was on a birthday after I had like a very dense cake, and I tried some, and obviously digestion is much slower when you've got a stomach full of food, so absorption is much slower, and the kick-in rate was a lot delayed, longer than I realized. And all I remember is laughing so hard trying to cut a circle cake because I couldn't find the end to cut it, and I just kept turning the plate. And I was like, I had this big ass fuck off knife in my hand, and I'm just spinning this plate, and I just like gave up. And then I think it was like, I can't remember who it was in the house. They're like, what's wrong? Like what? I'm like, I can't find where to cut the cake. It was just a circular cake.
I know this story, and you're a cooked individual.
Then my favorite part was I was trying to send someone a Snapchat or an Instagram video, I think it was, because in my head, my eye was bleeding. But it was red because I was rubbing it.
Rubbing it, yeah.
But I was trying to record it and like show someone that I was like, look, my eye's bleeding. Like, what the fuck?
You're cooked.
I was like freaking out.
Yeah, I thought
I didn't have any like the life altering trips that everyone talks about.
Yeah, no, I'm still curious to try it literally for that because I want to see if I go there or if I go like rampage murdering psycho, but we'll find out.
I think it's meant to be more like what's the stuff that Rogan always talks about?
I don't know. Rogan. LSD, acid.
Yeah, it's like LSD and that Iganda. No, what's it called? Fuck me. It's like the Native American spiritual drink they do.
Oh, yeah. I would try that.
I
That
would
sounds
try
like
that.
fun. That just sounds like fun. Um,
Last
I got one.
one.
I've got one.
Oh, go on, go.
What have you learned looking back from where you started training and your beliefs with respect to bodybuilding?
Where have you started from? Where? Oh,
Honestly, for me, less is more.
I was literally about to say that.
Considering how I've based my entire like coaching model,
Yeah.
yeah, less is more. Like by far, you don't need to do you don't need to do 4 exercises for chest and 3 for triceps in one workout.
Yeah.
Good old chest day on a Monday.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to do back day with like all these lat pull downs and rows and then
Hmm.
finish with biceps. It's like there is much better ways to go about it, and
Hmm.
the education side of things. So learning as much as I have from when I started has obviously been the biggest thing,
Hmm.
and being able to apply that knowledge and get results with that knowledge. Because no point having knowledge and not
Yeah.
applying it, or having knowledge, applying it and not getting the result, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's definitely been a big one for me. Is like most of my results came from backing off training load. Like, and then the same thing, vice versa with supplementation, with sleep. Well, sleep is obviously more. But just prioritizing the basics and then not having to do as much. Like trying to get fancy with tempo controls and fucking interest set this and that. Just fucking train to the basics, and generally less ends up being more. When you train hard with intent in the exercises you've got, you don't need 40 of them. You just fucking execute the ones that work. And I'd say
Yeah.
that's pretty much like, yeah, that's probably been my biggest takeaway.
Um, I feel like I had another one on here.
Planning on going to the dark side in the near future. Is 500 mil test only a good start?
500 mil. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, good luck
Considering
with
that,
that.
considering it's what 250 milligram per mil and they're 10 mil vials, 100% send it.
I'm curious to see what your blood and responses will be after that.
Man, how would you even pin that much oil? Like, can you
That'd
imagine?
fucking suck.
You don't have enough sites
You
to
don't.
pin that much. No, I'm assuming they mean 500 milligrams, and no,
Yes,
500
I
milligrams is not a good starting dose. And
no,
again, I feel like we've addressed this a lot, but
yeah.
for the 55th millionth time, 555th millionth time, let's be real. No, you start at what we would deem a TRT HRT dosage, being 1 to 3 milligram per kilo, roughly.
Hmm.
You do it, you'd probably start on the lower end at probably 1 or 2
Hmm.
milligram. You do that for 6 to 12 weeks. You'd go get your blood test. So get your bloods first. See
Hmm.
what your starting
Have a
level is.
baseline.
Then do your bloods after 12 weeks of usage. See where your testosterone levels sit. If you sit at the upper end of physiological dose, perfect. If you sit a touch outside it, not too bad. If you
Hmm.
sit well outside it, you probably bring your dosage down.
Hmm.
Very, very simple. That's how
Yeah,
I would do that one.
yeah. I mean, I've got I've got guys that I've mentored on as little as like 150 megs in total
Yeah.
that and are getting ridiculous result. Like, and the question comes through like, is there a time where I should change it? Well, why?
No. Yeah. If it
Like,
ain't
are you
broke,
getting
why
bigger?
fix it?
Are you recovering? Is your food going in? Are you
Yeah.
sleeping well? Are you getting bigger and leaner at the same time, pretty much?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Don't do it. Like, don't change.
Um, the last one that I got was, do you think the safer use model will be used by more coaches moving forward?
I mean, that's kind of like our intent, right? Just a
Yeah, it's such a big trivial debate that goes on with this being the whole safer use model versus, I guess, the Victor Black models, right? Like, credit where credit's always due. Victor Black did come up with some nice little things to employ for, the enhanced population, especially more so, I think, more applied to the not so much average gym goer, but the ones that just above average
yeah.
gym goers, like those that want a little bit more from their training and don't know where to go. It's like a base level to work with, and
Mhm.
there's a framework to work with that um, can then progress if you want to get a little bit more serious, or you can sort of
Mhm.
sit and really just look at long-term progression. Um, So, credit where credit's due, always there. But then we also have the other side to it, which is like a different type of model where it's like it is still safe for use, but you just don't have some of these utilities or tools in that toolbox that you would then deem it or call it, I guess, the black model, if that's what you want to go with. Um, Either or, I do feel like that is the way forward in the enhanced coaching realm. If not all of it, at least some of it. And it's always like, the Bruce Lee method. Take what's good from every facet that you can and throw out the bad. And as always, there is going to be bad that comes with different ideologies and all that sort of stuff. And there's always going to be a lot of positives. And it's kind of like, well, we want to take as much good as we can from everywhere and apply it where needed, especially in a context of, enhancement. Like we have very opposite people we have like your Broderick, Team Evil GSP, which my first mentor, who is basically like, I don't give a fuck. You want to get better, do this.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of his model. It's like, hey, there's smarter ways to go about it and better ways to do it, but hey, this is how we do it. Like, take all this. These are your numbers. These are blah blah blah. Take it. You'll get better. And then we have, like the opposite end of the spectrum, which is more like a Victor, where it's like, hey, I'm not looking at the immediate result. I'm looking at the result in 5 to 10 years' time and the ability to do this over a longer period of time and still progress over 5 to 10 years or a longer period of time. Here's the framework for it. And then you can adjust it based on your timeline. So there's two frameworks here that you can work with. And again, take the good, scrap the bad. I mean,
that was like the joy of critical thinking, is being able to analyze, because that you got to understand too, when you come into, and it took me a while to sort of figure this out, is people are very mesmerizing, they're very charismatic, but they're also they have a lot of like heavy polarization. You will get people sound like their way is the only way because it's the safest, they got everyone's best interest at heart, and this is the only way forward. But they are just a camp like anyone else, which means inside their camp, they aren't looking at their own biases and their own internal preferences that will lead to mistakes being made or poor choices, or, especially when you see dichotomies, like it's this way or no way, or this is the best way forward and my way is the one that does this, or my program does this, or my course does this and everyone else is wrong. Generally, if you do that, or if you speak in that sort of like ultimatum type speak, there's some lingering or underlying issues or potential bads, as you said, that are kind of there that, you can look through and kind of say, well, I don't actually like that part of your model. I don't actually like this part of your system or your education. And then you can go, you know what? I like this part though. I'm going to take that away. And that is 100%. The joy of not being like, I consider myself a centrist in a lot of things, politically, educationally, financially. There's a lot of things where I'm like, I can see both sides and not have an opinion or emotion attached to either outcome. But I can look at this and go, from both of these points, I can take it away and say that this is probably my preferred outcome for someone.
Yeah, 100%.
Sweet. That is just the joy of being more critically sound and logically thinking, is that you just weigh up the benefits and the costs and the evidence and the research and say, this makes sense. And then of this person, I took this, and this person took this, and this person took this, and now I've got this. Let's try that and see what happens. Cool. Yeah. One day you'll probably mentor someone that will come and do the same thing to you. Hey, I got taught this, but you know what? I realized I could probably do this way.
100%. And it's like, literally, I think I was going to post about it tonight, but anyway, literally talking about like, what's the definition of insanity? It's like doing the same shit over and over, looking for a different result. And it's kind of like, it's the same application or the same principle. It's like, there are so many ways to do something. And as long as you're achieving the result in a safe manner, have at it.
Yep.
But anyway, that's it for questions. I mean, the last one I had was, is jizz anabolic? And I think if you add sperm on MyFitnessPal, it tells you there's protein in it. Pretty sure that was
actually Aaron's question for me. He wanted to know.
100%. Well, dude, I need to increase your protein intake. I'm just helping you out, yeah. Dick's on you, literally. I mean,
literally.
But we found out at the start you spit and not swallow, so it doesn't help you. And that's how we bring it back, like a comedian does. You're welcome.
Yep. It's all about tying it all together. Finish it off. Finish it strong. Right.
It's just how, in many ways. Anyway, laid that one up. I guess that's it. Not much else to discuss.
It's a good little ramble.
As always. Anything we need to know? Same shit, different day.
New YouTube episode is out, so one of the things we're going to try and do now, at least monthly. Eventually, I want to get to a point where I'm doing using Phil fortnightly. But we're incorporating a bit of Q&A into our YouTube sessions.
Yep.
So I'll generally try and smash out a nice hard session, show intensity, explain exercise patterns, moves, blah blah, and then try and answer some questions along with it. So yeah, it's good. 25 to 30 minute YouTube episode. Trained upper body at Powerhouse, so definitely worth a go watch there. Make sure you subscribe into the channel and do all that sort of shit, because there is just going to be a shit ton of information coming out over the next sort of year or two. Yeah, app's up and running. We're getting people on there, so if you are, coaching spots are still available, myself or Tom. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I like it. Simples, easy, effective.
Simples.
I thought I did get an email from my landing page guy, but that was for my gym webpage, not my current one that I'm waiting for. So that should be coming in anytime soon. And then hopefully I have all the links back up for business. But I'm still getting client inquiries, which is kind of nice. I've had a couple come in. Yeah, considering I don't advertise because I am lazy with it. But as always, if people do want consult and whatnot, please reach out. That's about it.
Like there's a female you can start working with soon to help you out with that.
Yes, true. It's just me in a wig.
Yeah. Just talking to myself with a wig on.
Like, bet you didn't see that one coming. That's it.
Harder wigs.
I mean, you could do worse. That's it from us, guys. As always, questions, concerns, throw them up in the question box. DM us, mostly Ben. Send him nudes. He needs help. That's about it.
That's it.
Catch you later, guys.
See you guys.